So, welcome back to Daily Practice Life. And as you can see up here, this is not any sort of martial arts class if somebody is confused. What we are talking about is AMA, which is Ask Me Anything. And this session is designed for you to ask any questions you may have. I may not have the answer, but at least some of us may have the answer. So maybe there are questions, maybe there are things about mindfulness, meditation, life, and growth, and transformation, and practices you may be having. And this might be a good opportunity for us to just really ask those questions. So I invite you to ask any questions that arise in your mind, and let's see whether we can figure out the answers. So until then, I just want to keep exploring this daily practice theme. And the practice theme is to show up every day, no matter what the situation is, no matter what the external world tells you, no matter what your internal world is telling you. You are showing up in the best possible way for yourself, even if that means you just tune for 1 minute, or you meditate for 1 minute, or you sit in silence for 1 minute, or you take a pen and journal for 1 minute. All of those counts. And there is this often difficult situation where people find themselves in, where they start a good practice or a practice that sustains them, helps them, and then due to some life reason, they cannot do it, and it becomes a failure in their minds. And in my opinion, I don't think it is failure. I think it is a lack of fallback options. So I invite all of us to think about what are our fallback. So if you have started a meditation practice and you're doing regularly for 30 minutes a day, let's say, and then life happens and then you are not able to do for 30 minutes a day, but then what is the fallback? Do you have something? So that's the kind of question I ask myself. It's like, what is the fallback? So if this doesn't happen today, what will I do? And when you have clarity around those little hiccups we might face along the journey, then it won't be treated as a failure. It'll still be something you are doing. So in that theme, the daily practice is meant for us to explore the various many wonderful practices that are out there. We cover a lot of them. We cover affirmations, we cover journaling, we cover meditation, we cover exercise, we do a lot of self-reflection, questions, motivation interviewing, all sorts of things. Positive psychology, all of those things which we discuss. And again, there may be some which work for some and some which don't work for anyone, but there may be just one right for you right now. And that is also an underestimated aspect of our existence, is that we think if it works for someone else, it has to work for us, or the vice versa. If it works for us, it has to work for someone else. And often that doesn't happen. So if there are any thoughts which come up, any questions you have, any questions you want to raise, please do so. That's why it's called AMA. Ask me anything. And literally it can be anything. But until then, just being in the present moment, noticing your breath, noticing your body, just right here, right now. What is it saying? What is it telling you right now? Maybe closing your eyes, just tuning into the body without needing to change the way you are. What are the questions that are bubbling up? What are the questions that are keeping you awake this moment? And these doesn't have to be real existential questions. It could be, should I have that cup of coffee right now? What are the questions? And in those questions there are some snippets of what it is that you are needing. And in those questions lies the truth about yourself. So I invite you to notice what are the questions that are at the top of your mind right now. And let these questions arise naturally. And when it comes, and when you feel moved to ask a question, please put it in the comment section, and then I can respond. May not have the answer, but I can respond in from my perspective or from my own understanding. Or even better, the people around us can respond. So that is why I think it's important to share these questions. So here's one question which I have. Okay. There's another question. This question here. How do you switch emotions like deep grief, allowance to I need to stop? I always use this coinage, which is emotion is energy in motion. It's kind of cheesy, but it kind of works. So what does that mean? It means, I think, when we are stuck in a emotion which is caught up, I think movement, changing scenery, doing something active while you are going through that can shift that attachment to that emotion. So that's one way you can switch emotions, because as soon as you are out of that environment doing something else, yeah, you may carry over. It may carry over the emotions, but then suddenly it will flip because you are in a different environment. So that could be one way. Switching emotions consciously, like for example, if you are feeling grief and you consciously decide, I want to feel happy now. I'm not sure whether that is the right approach. I don't know. Maybe people can comment on that. But I think for me, it is okay to be with that emotion as much as possible. And then your body will tell you, your mind will tell you this is enough. And that's when you probably need to change your energy. So you move your body is a good way to change energy. Speaking to people is a good way to change energy. Dancing, singing, doing something which is outside of that environment you are in. So maybe that is one way. I'm sure there are many other ways. So I'm looking forward to some other comments about how do you switch emotions? How do you switch emotions? So that's a wonderful question. So the another question I had is, why is pain or suffering glorified in our society? Now this comes from my fitness journey, or like I work in the fitness field, and I see a lot of suffering. Pain masked as suffering is all about that culture of you have to go through something really bad in order for you to then enjoy something wonderful. I understand that truly. I think that happens, yes, if you are going through something really bad, and then something good happens, yeah, you feel better. But that doesn't need, there is no need for that bad thing to be happening and you making that your reality and then jumping into happiness or joy or things which makes you happy. Why not just have that joy and freedom right now? Why do we need to validate it through some negative response? The reason may be many reasons why that happened, because I think it is it's the carrot and stick, which was a kind of a tool which was used to keep people in check. It was a psychological behavioral test which they said, okay, let's do this to get people en masse following some rules. The military does it, the school systems, all of that do that. And for me, the idea of that, like you have to go through something really bad to be able to then enjoy life, used to be my reality. And then until I realized that this is not a cause and effect. Yeah, you may be going through a bad time, you may be going through a difficult situation. So be in that situation with an open mind, with a curious mind, with a grateful mind, and you will start to change your understanding of that moment. Same way, when you are feeling happy, joyful, when you are really compassionate, and when you're really into that emotion, suddenly you feel alive. And you do not feel alive because you deserve it, because you went through something bad. You feel alive because that is the reality, that is the true nature, that is your true nature. And I think to get this point across really is take a look at the children. And this is like one of the easiest way to show this is, yeah, what is the natural state of being? They are constantly in motion. Their energies are changing all the time. They observe a lot of things. They are in the moment. They have this sense of freedom, which we kind of have lost as adults. And they do not, even if they go through pain, that is not take away from their happiness and joy. Next moment there is happiness, and they do not say that the happiness is because I went through pain. So, for example, if you take a kid for maybe an injection or something which is painful, which was painful for me as a child, so that's why I'm saying it. I used to hate injections, so I used to never go to hospital, even if I broke my ankle or whatever in childhood. So I used to be really scared, and yeah, I had to go for take a few shots, and then the next, literally 2 minutes later, I'm running around in the field like nothing has happened. And that is our natural state. Take a look at all the animals; they also do the same thing. But somehow we started to associate this cause and effect mentality. Like, this is because of this. And if you are happy, that means you had suffering, or vice versa. Even more difficult is when people see people happy, they expect them to be sad the next moment. I do not understand this, but it's very sad to see that. So, yeah, it is very wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for that reflection on emotions. And yeah, grief is a form of love. Totally agree. Totally agree. And that's a wonderful way. So, any other thoughts you may have, please put it in the comments. Yeah, I think it's important to acknowledge that I do feel like I have a bad day after a good one. And that is because we associate these things. In the grand scheme of things, uh, hopefully I mean, this is a very, very subjective and personal, but in the grand scheme of things, I am not sure of individual circumstances, but personally, I'd say like we have more, much more, many, many more good days than quote unquote bad days. But we have more emotions attached in the bad days, so that feels like we have more bad days, if that makes sense. So I think it's important to acknowledge it, but also important to realize that there is no cause and effect. It's not a bad day because you had a good day. It is just a bad day. It's not a good day because you had a bad day. It is just a good day, and you can use this as you move through life. Yeah. So that's another reflection I had, another question I had. So you don't need to go through pain, suffering, to then have joy and compassion and joy and enlightenment. You can be that right now, right in this moment. You can be that person who's joyful. Ask yourself, why not? Why not you? Ask yourself, why can't I be a person who's joyful? There was another comment which I heard in a conversation. Is like the person was saying, I would like to be the most joyful person on the planet. That's it. And then that's it. So like even in the days where they are not happy, there's only externally the people who see are judging them. But what if the person decides, I am the most joyful person on the planet? So yeah, I think and people might be. It's natural to think that uh, if you have a good day, you will have a bad day. Maybe you'll have a bad day. Maybe you'll have a good day. But it'll just be that. It's not because is the point. It's not because you had a good day, you're having a bad day. It is just a bad day again. Yeah, sorry to labor that point because I think it's important. I think it's important to acknowledge where you are right now. So if it is difficult, it is difficult. If it is amazing, it is amazing. So yeah, thank you for sharing your thoughts, everyone. So I think what we can do for the next few minutes is bring all that together and practice a little bit of open monitoring. And this is a meditation technique that is that allows your attention to go wherever it wants, whether it's sounds, sensations, emotions, other experiences. Let it roam free. And just be aware of it in this expansive, receptive, welcoming way. Welcoming any experience, negative, positive, doesn't matter. Notice whatever comes up in your awareness, bodily sensations, etc. So just sit with this awareness. So settle into the position you are in right now. That reflects dignity and presence. And take your time to feel where the body touches the chair or cushion. Anchoring yourself in this space, this moment. First, turn your attention to the breath for a few moments. Simply breathe in and breathe out. Every breath is a new opportunity to be fully present in the moment. Then, when you're ready, let go of the focus of the breath Allow your attention to just float from moment to moment. Your attention may go to thoughts, sounds, physical sensations, emotions. It does not matter where your attention goes. Maybe your foot hurts a bit. Maybe your breath is calling your attention. Maybe there's a feeling of fear. Maybe there's a feeling of joy. Maybe you notice the sounds of passing cars. And invite you to just shift from sense to sense, allowing your senses to lead you. So each time you notice something, you just notice and move on to the next. Try to see your sensations not as distraction, but rather as an opportunity for exploration, being curious. Keep your attention on whatever seems most pressing until another sense guides you in a new direction. And at some point, the current sensation may loosen its hold on you. And it's calling out to you less. There might be something else going in your body or in your surroundings that is compelling now. So go there and repeat the process. Just hang out with whatever's going on. Ride your current of awareness as it naturally shifts. And as with mindfulness meditation, wherever your mind wanders, bring it back to the object of attention. And in this case, whichever sense most captures your attention. Both positive and negative experiences may arise. Hang out with them without judgment. Just notice them. Do not be afraid of them. They will not hurt you unless you let it. Observe them. And when you feel a little bit overwhelmed by experiences, you can always go back to the breath and re-anchor yourself in the present moment. And you can continue with this free-floating awareness for as long as you need. So in open monitoring practice, you can strengthen the ability to be with many situations, observe thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And this practice helps us gain real life skills where we are sometimes caught up in different things and gain a reflexive awareness. It's said that awareness of such features enable an individual to more readily transform cognitive and emotional habits. Example, worrying when things turn out differently than expected, or shouting when experiencing anger. These are all instinctive. You can be with it more with clarity and compassion. So thank you for taking the time out and joining me today. This has been another fascinating discussion on daily practice with Nikhil. Ask Me Anything session. We covered few questions. We talked a little bit hope we can do this more often with more questions. And if you still have any questions, please feel free to share them, ask them in the comments. I'll get back to them as soon as I read them. So thank you, and I will see you again soon.